Well, welcome to today's episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Miranda Daigneault. Today we have the privilege of Damian Gilchrist joining us. He's the president of the DG agency, and I'm so excited to talk to you today, Damian. So welcome. Thanks for joining us.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, let's jump in and talk about your business itself. So tell me a little bit about your business and what you do.
Absolutely. So I'm the owner and president of the DG Insurance Agency. What we are is we're a property and casualty business located in the tri-state area of Cincinnati. So we do auto, home, business, and life insurance, and help thousands of clients in our area.
Amazing. Tell me a little bit about your team and how it comes together. How many team members?
Absolutely. We're a very big component in specialization. So really finding the right fit for the right person. So we have a team dedicated of salespeople that, again, three salespeople that, not including myself, that are specifically devised to cultivate and bring up new relationships and grow and create relationships and new clients in the area. And then we have three clerical or administrative staff that really helps with supporting the salespeople and overall just helping us run the day-to-day operations here at the agency.
Love it. So you currently have a team of 6. How did you start, right? Typically, as an insurance agent, people start as a one-man band. Like, that's a lot of growth. So tell me about like where you started and how you got into doing this.
Absolutely. So my first real experience in it, it's kind of a little bit of a funny story, is I was actually working for Valpak, which was, I'm sure you've seen the coupons that have
Oh, yeah.
going on that you get in the mail. And unfortunately, I was really not that great at, and again, not really passionate about coupons, but I worked with a gentleman, Bill Hickman, who actually ended up getting into insurance and then again bringing me over to Liberty Mutual, and that's where I got my start. Had a tremendous amount of success over at Liberty Mutual, understanding and learning the business and kind of, getting just really rooted in insurance. And then I transitioned over to Allstate for a couple of years to learn on the agency level. And then recently the opportunity came was to open up an agency out here in Cincinnati. So we were living in New Jersey at the time. And so what happened is we bought a new house in really Union, Kentucky, but it's the Cincinnati region, and we sold our house in New Jersey. And myself, my wife, and my 3 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cats, all made the transition west to move to Middle America, which is what brought us here.
So when you made that move, where were you at in your business at that time? What was happening? Yeah.
Absolutely. At that point, I was literally just working for an agent. Again, the opportunity came where I wanted to really I always had that entrepreneurial spirit and really wanted that opportunity to plant my own flag. And, I very thankful for the experience I got with the Constantine agency that I worked for, where really they gave me a lot of experience in the industry and helped me see the ropes. And part of the reason was moving out to Middle America. I didn't have to compete with them as far as that goes. But the other side of it too is it's a super growth area in the Cincinnati region, which is what brought us out there.
Got it. Okay. Tell me about some of the challenges that you faced. And I guess I want to start by asking specifically right when you moved to the area that you're in now, like what were the biggest challenges right away for you?
Absolutely. Well, at the time I had 6-month-old twins. So when it comes to opening up an office, you have things like you're painting, uh, the walls yourself. You're setting up the technology yourself. You're learning the different products and systems yourself. You're coming up with marketing strategies and business planning. So you're spending all that time plus trying to learn a new area and everything else. So there were many different challenges. I would say some easier than others, but I can remember specifically 2 days before my start date of where the agency was open, where 2 a.m. I'm cleaning the office, I'm testing technology, and then getting up at 6 a.m. to do a feed with the twins in the morning to help my wife. So as you can imagine, those were some of the other challenges, barring past, when we actually got going. That's again different.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, keeping up with twins, 6-month-old twins, that alone, like that's enough challenge in and of
Yes.
itself, regardless of what else is going on in life. So that's incredible. And then tell me how those challenges sort of changed, right? So, I don't know, the next big milestone in your business, or with the change of your team, or whatever the next sort of milestone would be for you. Tell me, challenges as you come along.
Sure, absolutely. So, as you kind of, grow in your business, turnover is always going to be something that's there. So you always want to work on, recruit the right type of talent, So again, one of the things I learned as being a business owner and entrepreneur is it's very important for you to communicate your vision, and try to communicate it well. Again, you're really nothing without your team behind you. And I'm so thankful for the team I have in place now. And really, the challenges can come from anywhere. So, obviously finding the right people that fit your vision. So you will go through, definitely a significant amount of people that are um, maybe just not the right fit for your specific organization. So you have to, either they get let go or resign from the position. So that's something that always happens. Plus, go along with that, you're still growing revenue. You're trying to figure out how to manage your expenses. Plus, you're going ahead and you're wanting to, you know, just deal with things like COVID that came on board, where you're dealing with COVID and all the government laws and changes that go along with that, where you're trying to manage your business the most effective way, but also just to be, make sure your staff is being safe and again, working through a lot of those challenges throughout, the time.
It's amazing. So at Elite, we have, our own leadership model that we talk about, right? We call it the Elite Leadership Model. And we say that there are three things every business owner needs to do, or that they're responsible for. And they are set the vision, build the team, and deliver results. And you already talked about how you had this challenge of getting the right people that were in line with your vision. When I talk to business owners, or I have spoken with many business owners, like we have a framework that we talk to, that we teach to people, that helps them with this. And so I'm super curious how you would articulate how you are able to find people that are in line with your vision. Like, how did you figure that piece out?
Sure. So, I mean, the big thing is communicating it. And then when you're interviewing, letting them tell you, not you tell them. So, we say in the agency all the time, and even when I speak to my salespeople, we have two ears and one mouth, right? So you always should be listening a lot more than you're talking, except
Sure.
obviously when you're doing an interview here. But
You'll give
uh,
me today.
yeah. But with that being said, is a lot of times you'll be listening for the right types of people, and sometimes it could be something as one of my superstar team members. I remember I was in my office, and my office had a clear glass, door in it, so I could watch her interaction with the rest of the team as before she even sat in to interview with me, and I
Mm,
could talk about this person's going to be, a superstar in that. And the other one, one people where I was literally in the process of making a decision of whether or not to bring a person on, and the person had such a great interview that it was like I had no choice but to bring someone on board. And so that's really where I could say is listen to your gut about the right type of person, and then really make it show so that you have the right person in place, that you have no choice but to bring that person on. Because what'll happen is you'll get something called hopium, where you're like, oh, I hope this person's going to work out. but everything else about your gut says this is not the right fit. And then what happens is 2 months down the line, they end up not working out, and you've spent a lot of money, um, bringing the wrong person on.
I love that phrase. And I think every business owner, certainly every small business owner, can relate to that feeling, the hopium feeling, where you
Yeah,
just, when you have a small business, when you need another person, you need another person. And more than likely, you've needed another person for quite a while, right? Like by the time small businesses make the decision to bring someone on, quite often it's been painful for a bit without that help, right? So, do you have any experiences that you can think about or that you can share with our audience where maybe you did like take the hopium around somebody and it didn't work out so well for you?
sure, absolutely. There's been unfortunately more than a few, but I could say one specific situation, and just again, I could think of someone recently where we brought someone on for a clerical or administrative role. And again, for my entrepreneurs out there who may think that, hey, I want to get more salespeople in to produce, absolutely, and that is important, but you also want to have the right administrative and clerical person in the office as well. And the reason why I say that is it just wasn't the right fit coming in. So, we spent a lot of time training this person, getting them up to speed, and then literally within a 2 month time frame, it didn't work out. She had some personal stuff going on and completely resigned from the position. And so now my staff at the time was forced to collect the pieces, kind of repivot at that point of the decision to um, bring that person on. Is I actually promoted someone else into sales. So, again, I had to do a little bit of restructuring even in my organization to make sure that person was still able to keep her sales role, but at the same time, we needed help on support. And so trying to pivot all those things and spin different plates, which, you're used to as a small business owner, but it sometimes can be very draining as, the wrong person. And it's something that you may have done all your screening, you've done your personality assessment test, you did your interview process, you did your reference checks, and it still sometimes doesn't work out.
Yeah. Do you can you sort of capture what is there a part in that process in bringing that person on or training them or somewhere along the line where you would have done something differently? Like what's the lesson that you took from that experience?
Absolutely, and that's a really good question. So, hindsight, if I'd had to look back and thinking about something I can do differently, is really just about taking my time to really um, understand it and communicate where someone's going, the whole picture of what someone's dealing with. Specifically, said all the right things. Seemed like a great fit as far as my brand goes and everything else. However, the reason why she was resigned, it had nothing to do with us even organizationally. It had to do with um, her personal stuff that was going on in her life. And one of the things, I know probably I could have done better is maybe, took more time during the interview process to screen a little bit deeper, within obviously respects of how you have to handle your interview process through HR. You still want to understand kind of what that person is going through and what are those challenges that they might be facing to make sure it's a good fit for your company. Because again, certain roles and responsibilities have a very significant demand depending on the uh, type of business it is, which
Yeah,
ours, in our role did. So.
love that. Okay, I want to ask a couple questions. I want to try to
Sure.
not forget. The first one I want to ask is you seem to be clear about like who the right person is on your team versus somebody who's not. I know you just shared a a story of a moment where it didn't work out, but you seem to have another level of clarity around that. If you had to share with people like what makes someone the right fit or wrong fit for your business, how do you go about sharing that idea?
Absolutely. So, right fit is very very simple. Someone we always look for someone ambitious, someone coachable. That's something very important to me. Is someone that's humble and that's willing to understand and work and really say like, hey, even if I don't have the answer, I'm gonna try to figure it out, but I'm not gonna try to lie or figure out to make myself look bigger than I am. Someone that's very relatable, connected. I mean, those are all ambitious. Those are all the things we look for the right person. Um, we always look for someone that's a team player. So what my vision is always you create the culture first and then you hire within the culture. So that way the culture then washes itself out with anybody that doesn't fit. So if you ever bring someone to the organization who's not a team player or someone who's not, positive attitude or someone that's not any of those things, when you have your culture established then already, then that stuff gets washed out because you hear about it quickly about, hey, this person's not really for the team or for the agency. And then at that point, they wash themselves out pretty quickly.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, as your team and your business continue to grow, as they did continue to grow before you got to where you are now, what was the next I don't know, big step for you in your team? What was the next big thing after you got there? You got the office set up, you're starting to, create some momentum. What was the next sort of moment of growth for you that you can call that?
Sure. I'd say that the next moment of growth really is understanding that, you know, the person that you're bringing on for support staff, like, whether it's clerical or administrative, whatever the role is, even if it's another producer, um, that was my next step is bringing another producer on and then training them. Um, I don't want to say a mini me, right? Because everyone has their own personalities, but bringing them to the point where not only are they're adding their own flair to it, and kudos to one of our senior sales leaders here. She does it. I feel like almost better than I would do it, and that's saying a lot because I have a lot of experience. But watching her grow and flourish into the type of agent that she does is like it's unbelievable to me where it's to the point where when I bring on a new producer and she's helping training, before I even get an opportunity to give advice or giving coaching or anything like that, she's already saying almost identically to what I would say, which at that point, means that the message is clear and concise. And it's exciting to see that she's now teaching it to other team members, which is hopefully is going to allow me to scale bigger, which is really the next goal as we kind of grow.
Love that. So it sounds like you have a bit of a knack for leadership. Do you think that's true?
Thankfully, I would say yes and no, right? Because leadership is something where you're always learning constantly, and it always helps when you have the right people to lead. So and for those that who are in leadership, know this. They know that they bump their head at times. That you know, you think you may understand something, and then something will completely flip upside down, and you'd be like, all right, this new information now makes me change some of my ideologies on things. But I am very thankful to be in the position, and it's really a privilege to lead people. And all really a leader just means to me is just being able to serve my team. So usually where it's I ask them, hey, what can I help you out with, or hey, is there something I can help you out with? And some days are crazier than others where I may not be able to get to chance to ask that question to the team, but in most cases, I'll try to at least do that one a day. Once a day, if there's whether it's a call I can make for them to help them out, or it's a challenge maybe that they're trying to figure out that maybe I could give some guidance or advice to.
I love this. The conversation of leadership, especially for small business owners, um, some people tend to sort of naturally lean into it, and other people are really uncomfortable with the idea of leading others. And I wonder if you can think of like one of your biggest challenges as a leader that you sort of worked through. I'd love to hear it in your perspective, just sort of you fumbling through it.
Absolutely. So probably one of my biggest challenges as a leader, I would say, is probably communication. So it's something where you think sometimes that everybody already has it, right? They get it. And then what you realize is that when you have a team member that, let's say, doesn't understand something, and then sometimes in certain cases where the communication or the message wasn't clear, and then afterwards they're like, oh well, you explained it, you didn't explain it the right way or whatever. So communication can definitely be a key aspect of it. And then one of the other big things that I learned being a leader is that um, you're going to have your challenges in commitment with people, right? Because you have your team who you hope to say that they have ownership in your company and they own the vision behind it. But not everybody's going to have the same passion towards your vision as you. And that's something you always got to remember, because, and that was something in the beginning I really struggled with because I hired a lot of good team members, right? Good employees that came on board, but I used to get frustrated with myself personally because I'm like, why don't they care as much as I care? But then, more importantly, it uh, made me think that there's going to be a rare few that actually care the way you care. Um, but for the most part, it still makes them great team members.
Yeah. Um, when you so you talk about having the right team members in front of you, and communicating. Do you have what comes to mind when I ask, like, do you have certain systems or processes in place with your team? And it could be something technical or something not quite so technical. Like, what comes to mind in terms of like systems or processes that you've created in order for your team to sort of be on the same page about things?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we, have something as simple as a quick daily huddle that we try to do at least daily, where we're doing role play. We're going over, activity from the day, and then we're actually picking a quote of the day. So usually, one team member will be responsible for picking an inspirational quote of the day, including myself. So again, it allows everyone to take ownership in their day and say, okay, this is my quote day. This is the quote I'm thinking on, and this is kind of what I do. But separate of that, we have general processes like a 30-day check-in, 60-day, 90-day for hiring and bringing new people on, and then just we do a quarterly review, and it's not a quarterly review where it's measured more on um, it's measured more about just overall activity, right? So it's not specifically on measurements on like, hey, did you hit your goal for this month? Hey, this is this metrics. It's more importantly like, hey, we usually take most of the question will be about professional development, but then a couple things will be about personal development. And usually in the beginning of the year, I'll have, my team members talk about some professional goals that they're trying to hit and also some personal goals. And I like to, at the end of every 3 months, kind of circle back with them and say, hey, where are we at with these three goals? Like, hey, are we achieving this on both the personal and professional level? And I try to give insight and advice where I can.
Love that. Damon, you're checking so many boxes, like the different things that we talk about at Elite that are part of our, fancy methodology. It seems that you've sort of, either intuitively or from learning and experience, put things in place, right? At Elite, we talk about, in the center of that leadership model is care. And we talk about caring equally for the cause or the business as you do for the person that's in front of you. And that balance can be delicate and can be tricky for business owners, right? I work with business owners that often go a little bit too far one way or the other, right? They care so much about the person in front of them that sometimes the business suffers. They're not great at holding people accountable, so to speak, or they care so much about the business that they're not so great at like caring about the people and taking care of the people in front of them. In the way that you talked about your quarterly reviews and how you talk to people about your team members about how they're coming along in the business, but also how they're coming along personally, I think is just a beautiful example of that. Do you have any advice for business owners that might feel a little, let's say, hesitant to talk to their team members about more personal things or more personal goals? Sometimes people are a little shy to do that. They kind of don't want to get wrapped up in it. But can you speak on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So something I could really say is just um, have with a sincere and genuine heart. So don't do it just because elite leadership says you should do it, or because you hear Damian Gilchrist talk about it. Like, you want to do it based on your genuineness to your heart, right? So don't ever make it phony. Always make it sincere, and then you know let them lead the conversation. So the thing is ask open-ended questions that allow them to talk, and again, right, listen, and then once you listen, have a sincere and genuine heart to want to help them. Again, you may not have all the answers. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to buy a $7 million house, well, you know maybe that's might be the option, but chances are this organization is not going to prepare you to buy this $7 million house that you want to buy. So you always want to be very sincere in talking to them, right? Because at the end of the day, and then the only other thing I can say for those that are struggling with boundaries is a lot of times we put, our own boundaries on things. So it's not necessarily boundaries we have, like, again, that the person you may be speaking to has. It's the ones that you're thinking, like, this person will think it's kind of weird that I'm asking about it. But you really don't know until you ask about that. So,
That's great. It's a really good piece of advice for business owners. I'm glad I asked that question. I think it's super helpful. Okay, so I want to see if there are any other, I don't know, lessons that you learned in growing your business to get to the place where you are now. Is there anything that, we didn't touch on that stand out for you as really important lessons that you learned along the way?
sure, that's a good question too. And I'll say lessons that I've learned along the way is really just you have to be persistent. You have to be even keel. So Pat Bet David. I don't know if you guys listen to any of his books or anything like that, but he's very good about, and especially his new book that just came out, which I guess I'm kind of giving a little plug, but it's about finding that balance between being emotional and being strategic, right? So you don't want to be one way where it's emotional, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna light up the world and fire, and again, like you're giving the speech from Braveheart, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be so rational to where, it just sounds like you're speaking on a PowerPoint presentation. So finding that healthy balance of using your emotions to fire you up the right way, but then also back it up by having rational data and information and having strategies in place. So that way it keeps your emotion in the guardrail to where you're saying, hey, I'm not going to drop $50,000 on marketing just so I could blow all my goals out of the water, and then you become unprofitable because you spent so much money in marketing. So finding those balances is definitely key. And then I would also recommend is just continuing to um, find the right type of talent. So continue recruiting the right type of people for your organization. You will, don't get upset when you bump your head or when you make a mistake, or if it's not the right person, that's okay. Um, but at the same time, you want to make sure you're finding the right person really to make sure they're supporting your organization and really see your vision and overall have a passion in what you as an agency or as a business do.
So good. So good. So, what's next for you and your team? What are you guys chasing after?
So
What's on the list?
yep. So next with the team is just we're gonna continue growth. We're working on a couple different locations. So the agency is gonna be continuing recruiting the right type of salespeople for our agency. I'm actually working on a uh, an insurance agent sales training book that's gonna be coming out along with a course that should be coming out in Q3. So for maybe new people in the insurance business, in general, they'll have an opportunity to learn, from again my experience, all the things that I've dealt with and all the trials I've gone through, and really help build their businesses the right way. So if you see it out there, it's called Rev Up Revenue by Damian Gilchrist. So
When does that come out, or is it already out?
no, so it'll be out Q3. So hopefully, just waiting on the publisher and everything, getting like the last minute edits. So we're hoping really by June, July, it'll be out there.
So exciting. So
Yeah.
exciting to have your own book out in the wild.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Huge.
Pretty crazy, especially growing from my background. It's pretty exciting. It gives me something to tell my nanny when I come home back to New Jersey. So she gets excited.
I love that. Okay, so what are the as you launch the book and grow your team, you're going to get additional locations, like a lot of big, beautiful things in front of you. What's the challenge, do you think? What's the next sort of obstacle or piece of the puzzle that you are trying to navigate with your team?
Sure, absolutely. So scaling is always the big thing, right? Is scaling at this level. So as you kind of scale, you want to make sure that you're managing your P&Ls the right way. Again, to make sure that you don't grow too quickly to where and also too, you're making sure you're doing the right research to make sure it's the right location and it has all those added features involved, which we're working on doing now. So you really have to just do your research behind there and again look to the right opportunity.
Love that. Okay. Any other parting words for our audience before we wrap up today? Anything else you would share with them?
Yeah, I would just encourage for those that are involved in entrepreneurship, that for those that have a passion in it, I would just give them encouragement. Um, the road can feel alone at times. Like you really will go through struggles. You're gonna have times where your mother, father, grandmother may not understand you. Your wife or children may not understand why you decided to make this decision. But you really have to be true to your vision and really have to just gut check yourself consistently to make sure that it is the right fit and then, head down and drive through that because there's going to be a lot of noise and 50,000 reasons for someone to throw in the towel and say, hey, entrepreneurship is not for me. For those people, I would just say, just think to the end goal and really enjoy the journey to build up because even as you hit some of the goals that you really want to achieve, you miss the journey of the single office where you're sitting in just yourself trying to figure out all those different things. So I would just say head down and keep grinding.
It's wonderful advice. I love it. Do you have, like, if people want to reach you, if they're excited about the book or your business and what you guys do, how can people get a hold of you, Damian?
Absolutely. So you can follow me at the DG Agency on Facebook, Instagram. We also have a TikTok too, which has a lot of fun little videos. Separate of that, you can also email me, obviously, at Damian at dgins-agency.com if you're in the tri-state area. And also, just, yeah, look for me online. So that's great.
Damian, thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing your perspective. I think that the way that you talk about the way you think about your team and casting a vision and leadership and staying connected to the growth that you want to achieve. I think the way that you talked about that truly is really going to resonate for the people that we want to help with this podcast. So I'm just so grateful that you gave us your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you. This was a lot of fun, so I appreciate it.
Good. All right. Well, that wraps up today's episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the seven figure journey. Damian, thank you again for being on the show today. We really loved having you. For all of you listening in, I hope that you'll share, like, and do all of the things that make this episode more available to help more seven figure business owners get to the place where Damian has been able to get. So keep striving and keep learning out there. Thank you.